And this is where I differ with Bernie Sanders a little bit, right? I'll say, that yes, college should be free, but college should be free, but I, I say this with all due respect. I'm trying not to sound like a condescending intellectual snob here. There's a lot of people who shouldn't be in college. That's the problem we have in a lot of our universities nowadays. There's a lot of people who shouldn't be there. You should be in college if you want to learn, right? That's why you should be in college, right? If you want to learn, if being in college is going to help you get the skills and the knowledge necessary to get, a job that you want, you should be in college. But if you are the kind of person that doesn't want to go to college, that kind of goes to college because you're told, hey, you have to go to college if you want to make decent wages, you shouldn't be there, right? It used to be there were all kinds of Americans who didn't really want to go to college, and they worked in a steel mill or they learned a trade, and it was fine, right? But now we've gotten rid of, technology has gotten rid of so many jobs. We've gotten to the point that now there are all kinds of people that are told, hey, if you don't want to be working in low wage, minimum wage jobs your whole life, you've got to go to college. And so they go to college. They're not happy there. They don't want to learn. They're not interested in ideas. They're frustrated. They're annoyed. The class is full of people who are annoyed with that one guy like me who keeps raising his hand and asking deeply political questions. And they're like, oh gosh, is this going to be on the test? They don't want to be there. Most college students all across this country, public schools, private schools, are full of young people who don't want to be there. And part of the system, I will say, is first of all making sure that people who go to college aren't in debt for the rest of their life. That's important, right? People should not be in debt the rest of their life for going to college. But, big but, people who don't want to go to college shouldn't feel economically compelled to be there. Our universities are full of people who don't want to be there, don't need to be there. We should find useful work for people to do and not have people go to college who don't want to be there, right? And that's different than Bernie. Bernie says everyone should get a free college education. Well, good for him on some level. He's right, but I agree with him on that. But right, and especially if we're going to pay for everyone's college, it should be understood that giving everyone free college is an investment. We are investing in you as a society. We're saying to you as a young person, we need you to go to college so that you can get your degree and do something good for the country, right? That's what we're basically saying is we want you to go to college and use your, just like we invest money in building hospitals, we want to invest money in you so that you go to college and you use your skills in order to make a better country, right? That's basically the idea. And if college was free, right? If we were spending on our public budget, it would be understood that we would only, be funding a public education for people who would benefit society by getting it, right? And now the way our education system has been set up nowadays, it's a racket. I mean, it's a racket. We got so many young people who don't want to be in college. They get in student debt for the rest of their life, right? You can't go bankrupt. You can never declare bankruptcy on your student loans, ever, right? It never goes away. Your whole life, you got that student debt hanging over your head. Now, someone's saying this is all in Bernie's platform. Wow, that would be, so forgive me if I'm wrong. I'll have to look into it. But I feel like that's one thing that's missing from people who call from free college is this understanding that the way college is set up, the problem is deeper than just the cost, right? The cost is a big problem. But it's bigger. The problem is much bigger than that. It's not just the cost. It's the student loan ripoff. It's education inflation. That's a term. Google that. Education inflation. Everybody has to go to college now. We've created this mindset that college should be for everybody. Every single person should go to college. And the reality is that not everybody needs a college education. People who want to go to college should go to college. People who would benefit from going to college should go to college. But there's a lot of people who don't want to go to college, feel compelled to be there, and that's a big problem, right? So there, I said that. I'm sure that there's university professors all across the country who are watching this who are nodding in agreement with me. But they would never say that, of course, because that's like heresy to say that in the universities. No, everyone should go. But the reality is I don't think everyone should go to college. Go to college if you want to go to college. Go to college if going to college will help you get where you want to be in life. But this notion that every single person should go to college is hurting the colleges. Hurting the colleges, it's hurting society, it's causing, it's a big problem. But the reason that there's this notion that every single person should go to university, the reason that notion is out there is because that makes a lot of money for these student loan ripoff corporations, right? They've convinced everybody they need to go to college. And then people get out of college and end up working at Starbucks. And when they're at Starbucks, then they can't ever, they're stuck. Why? Because they're crippled by the debt. They're afraid of losing their job. It's a mess. It's a whole big mess. And I think, people complain about the atmosphere on the campuses and the way things are. And I think that they're absolutely right to complain. Because, the atmosphere on the campuses, in a lot of ways, when I was in college, I recall feeling kind of like the place was like a giant summer camp, a very, very expensive summer camp. I mean, these activities, these getting to know you games. If you hear me clap once, if you hear me clap twice, if you hear me clap 3 times, if I ever hear that again in my life, my head is going to, I'm just kidding. But in a way, it was like, it used to be, and I remember a friend of mine when I was in college, who was a librarian, told me, it used to be you went to college to grow up. That was where you were treated like an adult. And it was like a lot of the things I did in college, again, getting to know you games and, throwing the ball and it was weird. And I was interested in ideas and such. And I was an annoyance to a lot of people who weren't.